de nuestro país. Somos un país, digamos, siempre abierto a las ampliaciones. Nosotros hemos sido, hace ya unos cuantos años, también beneficiarios de esa ampliación en la década de los 80 del siglo XX y, lógicamente, siempre vamos a ser empáticos y abiertos a que esos debates sobre la ampliación a otras partes de Europa se puedan suscitar y se puedan, lógicamente, desarrollar. Bueno, en fin, tenemos muchos debates por delante y quiero agradecer, pues lógicamente, al Ayuntamiento de Granada, a la Junta de Andalucía, a todas las instituciones implicadas, desde el Consejo, el Parlamento Europeo y la Comisión Europea, que van a estar aquí en Granada, pues todo el trabajo que hemos desarrollado, la paciencia y la hospitalidad del pueblo granadino y, lógicamente, mi felicidad porque, en fin, podamos desarrollar toda esta cumbre, estas dos cumbres, en un lugar tan emblemático como esta. Si me permiten el comentario, pues en fin, la Alhambra en árabe significa la roja, y la roja es efectivamente lo que va a vestir la selección española de fútbol, pues en ese color en el Mundial 2030 aquí también en España cuando se celebre. Y hacerlo además en Granada, donde hace muy pocas fechas pues también la selección española de fútbol tuvo ocasión de jugar un partido de fútbol desde hace ya muchos años, pues me parece que, en fin, que todo al final pues encaja y nos hace proyectar una imagen de España que realmente yo creo que es muy positiva, ¿no? Es de valores, de deporte, de convivencia. Es un mundial al final donde dos continentes, el europeo y el africano, se encuentran y donde al final proyectamos, bueno, pues lo que realmente es nuestra sociedad, nuestro país. Un país amable, un país hospitalario, un país, en fin, abierto, con talante, respetuoso, que apuesta por la convivencia y por todo aquello que ahora mismo pues tenemos que proyectar, porque el mundo efectivamente está viviendo un momento muy complicado, muy complejo, y particularmente un país con el que nos sentimos muy próximo, aunque estemos a 4.000 kilómetros de distancia, como es Ucrania.
Presidente, ¿qué le va a trasladar al presidente Zelensky en ese encuentro sobre la adhesión de Ucrania a la Unión Europea? Y le pregunto también si Puigdemont está marcando los tiempos de su investidura.
Bueno, en primer lugar, sobre la primera de las cuestiones, el presidente Zelensky lo sabe bien. Nada más empezar esta presidencia española rotatoria del Consejo de la Unión Europea, me desplacé a Kiev, estuve con el presidente Zelensky, le trasladé, lógicamente, el compromiso de España como presidencia rotatoria del Consejo Europeo, nuestra voluntad de seguir dando pasos para que efectivamente se abran ya formalmente esas conversaciones. Nuestra posición es clara, es firme. Creo que además todos los países de la Unión estamos, digamos, en la misma línea, y lo que tenemos que hacer es esperar ahora mismo a la institución que tiene que decir si los pasos que lógicamente están establecidos en los tratados han sido cumplidos y las reformas realizadas por parte del gobierno ucraniano. Pero evidentemente creo que la lógica y la voluntad política de todos los países es la que he apuntado en esta declaración. Y en segundo lugar, en relación con la cuestión que usted me ha dicho, a ver, aquí hay dos dinámicas que me parece importante subrayar. La primera es, bueno, hemos perdido 5 semanas con una investidura que todo el mundo, hasta incluso el propio candidato, sabía que iba a ser fallida. Y ahora, bueno, pues evidentemente la sociedad española, y yo el primero, lo que queremos es que haya un gobierno con plenas funciones y que no estemos en funciones como llevamos desde las elecciones del pasado 23 de julio. Por tanto, hay una urgencia en que haya un gobierno en funciones y, en segundo lugar, bueno, las negociaciones son complejas, porque hay un arco parlamentario con distintas, intereses, y tenemos entre todos que encontrar ese espacio de encuentro para arrancar esta legislatura y poder formar una mayoría parlamentaria que no solamente nos dé una investidura, sino también la legislatura, ¿no? Así que, a ver, yo lo dije el otro día en mi comparecencia en el Palacio de la Moncloa. Mi objetivo es el que durante estos próximos 4 años sigamos avanzando para la mayoría social de nuestro país en derechos y en libertades y en progreso. En segundo lugar, seguir cultivando y abonando ese reencuentro, esa convivencia entre los pueblos de España. Y finalmente, el marco es la Constitución. Por tanto, diálogo es el método, el objetivo es el progreso y la convivencia, y el marco es la Constitución. Y es ahí donde nos vamos a mover, porque, en fin, no soy un presidente de gobierno nuevo. Llevo ya 5 años y es lo que he hecho durante estos últimos 5 años, en circunstancias extraordinariamente complejas como las que hemos vivido, ya que afortunadamente hemos superado, como es la pandemia de la COVID-19.
Presidente, ¿le preocupa el acuerdo De inmigración, le preocupa al gobierno español el preacuerdo que se ha alcanzado de inmigración, y le pregunto también, al hilo de la pregunta sobre Puigdemont,
sí,
en directo para La Sexta, ¿va a haber amnistía o no? Es lo que mucha gente...
Sí, yo sé que esa es la pregunta que se hace. Incluso me dicen por qué no se refiere a ella directamente. Estamos negociando con los distintos grupos parlamentarios. Creo que, lo dije además en mi anterior comparecencia, a ver, cuando el gobierno de España aprobó los indultos, yo tenía una confianza en que contribuyera a la estabilidad, a la normalización de la política en Cataluña. Hoy tengo la certeza de que fue una buena decisión y que por tanto obedeció a un interés general, que es el interés al que debemos, digamos, de alguna manera velar, no solamente aquellos que tenemos el honor de liderar un país desde el Poder Ejecutivo, sino también todas las fuerzas parlamentarias. Por tanto, estamos negociando y cuando tengamos una posición concreta al respecto, después de reunirme con todos los grupos parlamentarios, fijaremos la posición del Partido Socialista Obrero Español. Y en este caso yo le hablo, lógicamente, como candidato del Partido Socialista Obrero Español a esa investidura. Y en segundo lugar, ¿cuál era la otra pregunta? El preacuerdo de migración. Hombre, yo creo que es un acuerdo en el que todos al final hemos tenido que ceder, pero creo que es un acuerdo que sienta las bases para que ya definitivamente, junto con el Parlamento Europeo, logremos ese pacto de migración y asilo. Y España es un país, digamos, muy interesado en que haya un pacto de migración y asilo, porque estamos hablando de dos ejes fundamentales. El primero, el de la solidaridad, y el segundo, el de la responsabilidad. La responsabilidad significa controlar las fronteras, controlar, digamos, y luchar contra la migración irregular y propiciar la migración regular, que es en lo que ha estado siempre el gobierno de España. Pero en segundo lugar, la solidaridad. Lo que no puede ser es que determinadas zonas de nuestro país, pienso por ejemplo en el sur de España o también en las Islas Canarias o en las Islas Baleares, se hagan frente y asuman todo ese fenómeno de migración irregular sin la solidaridad del resto de los países europeos. Y yo creo que también ahí hemos encontrado un punto de equilibrio que es de interés para España. Venga, la última pregunta. Which one?
On Ukraine, please. What will your message and the message of the other leaders be to President Zelensky of Ukraine, in particular given the concerns that President Biden has expressed about the infighting in Congress holding up US aid to Ukraine? Is there anything more that you can do, that European leaders can do for Ukraine?
Well, actually, solidarity, unity, and of course all the support of not only the European governments but also our societies. I think that all the Europeans are, backing Volodymyr Zelensky and his country, and of course we are ready to support and to back, until the end of this war, our friends in Ukraine. And I think that we have, of course, debates that we need to deliver within the European Union. I'm thinking nowadays about the reform of the MFF, which is, the financial framework to channel all the financial resources in order to help and to sustain Ukraine for the next years. But we're very happy to host this summit, and of course we're very proud, and it is an honor to have Volodymyr Zelensky with us here in Granada. I think that Granada is today the capital of Europe and also the capital of peace. At the end of the day, this city represents a lot of things. In my opinion, the most important one, the respect to different cultures, civilizations, and also this is the message that we want to send to the rest of the world. That Europe is a peace project, and this is what we are going to do today and tomorrow here in Granada. Muchísimas gracias. Ya no voy a decir, si mañana vamos a tener otra rueda de prensa, ayer hice otra, de verdad. Vamos a disfrutar de, yo creo que un día muy, muy importante, el de mañana también. En fin, Granada yo creo que es un lugar absolutamente idóneo por todo lo que representa en términos no solamente políticos, sino históricos, de lo que queremos proyectar desde España, que es y cómo sentimos Europa. Y mañana tendré ocasión de hacer una rueda de prensa y responderle a todas estas preguntas y muchas más. En fin, disfrútenlo, porque creo que hoy además el tiempo nos acompaña. Gracias.
Sorry. Will you claim here in Granada for speeding up the process of the Ukrainian answer?
I think first of all the main challenge is what we all of us. The main challenge is what we have. That is to save unity in Europe. And I'm speaking not only about the countries in EU, in all the Europe. I think that is the biggest challenge what we'll have, because Russia will attack by information, disinformation, by fakes and etc. And that is the first thing. The second, so important for Ukraine to have defending shield for the winter, because in winter we will have many attacks by different kinds of Russian missiles, including Iranian drones and etc.
Mr. Zelensky, are you worried because the news from the States?
The European Union in this meeting?
Sorry?
Are you worried because the news from the States, from the United States and the Congress, are you worried?
You know, I think that in Ukraine we finished worry the first days of full-scale war. I think it's too late for us to worry. I think we have to work on it. And with the United States, I've been in Washington this year, and I had a meeting with President Biden, and I had heard his 100% support in White House, and also support by bipartisan support in Congress. I think it's important of course difficult election period for the United States. Different voices. Some of the voices are very strange. About this also we will speak about this today, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
avec la presse. Perdona, no te vale. Vous voulez parler avec la presse ou non?
Non, c'est pas trop populaire.
Non, d'accord, vous l'avez dit, c'est trop fort. D'accord, soyez le bienvenu.
Très bien, merci.
Ministro, buenos días. Solo que tengo que ir. Vente más para acá. ¿Qué es? ¿Primer ministro? Good morning. Welcome, Prime Minister. Video is here. Yeah.
Vienota pozīcija, vienota izpratne, pieņemsim arī par jautājumiem, kas skar Ukrainu, un skaidrs, ka Krievija šobrīd nemaina savu politiku, un, manuprāt, visas valstis, kas šeit ir sapulcējušās, ir skartas no šī kara, un varbūt tā sākumā nevar saprast, kāpēc mēs te tiekamies, bet ļoti svarīgi, ka mēs katrs jau dzīvojam savos burbuļos, tāpat Eiropas Savienība ir savs burbulis, bet šeit ir iespējams tātad visiem kopā satikties un saprast, kāda tad ir visu šo valstu ietekme no kara, veidot vienotu izpratni un arī domāt, kā mēs tālāk risinām šos jautājumus.
Ko jūs plānojat?
Jā, man ir paredzēts arī divpusējās tikšanās, tūlīt pat tikšos gan ar Eiropas parlamentu vadītāju, gan ar Eiropas padomes vadītāju, un arī divpusējās tikšanās ar Norvēģiju, Īriju, vēl bija kaut kādām valstīm, kuras es skatīšos, protams, izmantošu iespēju arī satikt līderus, kurus es tā nevaru ikdienā satikt, arī ir Zeļenska kungs, kas nozīmē, ka viņš arī ir izmantojis šo iespēju, lai varētu uzrunāt Eiropas līderus. Man ļoti žēl, ka Azerbaidžāna un Turcija nav izvēlējusies ierasties, un skaidrs, ka šis formāts būs dzīvotspējīgs tik ilgi, kamēr līderi ieradīsies un apmeklēs šo formātu un izmantos iespēju arī runāt. Iepriekš tika izmantots šis formāts, lai runātu par miera sarunām. Es domāju, ka ir ļoti svarīgi tomēr arī Eiropas līmenī mēģināt būt par vidutājiem un atrast tādas miera sarunu formātu, jo tas jautājums ir ārkārtīgi jūtīgs šobrīd, bet mēs varam aicināt uz miera sarunām. Paldies! Not today.
Sobre la amnistía, le acabamos de preguntar al presidente del gobierno, usted que siempre habla claro, ¿qué opina de la amnistía si se produce?
Sobre el acuerdo de migración, es una buena noticia que se hayan llegado ya a acuerdos en el seno del Consejo de Ministros. Ahora se trata de que estos acuerdos los acepte, los incorpore a la acción que hay que tomar en el Consejo Europeo. Sé que hay todavía problemas por parte de algunos países, pero este es un momento decisivo para que Europa adopte acuerdos operativos para hacer frente a los flujos de migración cada vez mayores que pesan sobre el continente y en particular sobre algunos países. Este va a ser uno de los grandes temas, cómo prepararnos para la ampliación y cómo hacer frente a los movimientos migratorios. Y sobre las cuestiones de interés nacional, me va usted a permitir que considere que este no es el momento ni el lugar para entrar en ellos. Tiempo va a haber. Gracias.
What do you think about this decision and what is the future, real future of Azerbaijan and the nations?
Es una pena que Azerbaiyán no esté aquí. Y es una pena que Turquía, que es el principal país que apoya a Azerbaiyán, tampoco esté aquí. Por lo tanto, no vamos a poder hablar aquí de algo tan grave como el hecho de que más de 100.000 personas hayan tenido que abandonar a prisa y corriendo sus casas huyendo de un acto de fuerza militar. Condenamos los actos de fuerza militar para resolver los conflictos. Ayudamos a estos refugiados y espero que en Bruselas puedan haber reuniones entre Armenia y Azerbaiyán, sobre todo para evitar que el conflicto vaya más y para estabilizar políticamente Armenia. Muchas gracias. Hablaremos de estos temas más tarde, cuando el momento llegue. Gracias.
Of course, that could have implications for aid to Ukraine. Could you just tell us whether you're worried about the US potentially cutting support to Ukraine?
Well, I was in Kiev. I was in Kiev some days ago, just at the moment when we knew that the U.S. Congress had not included the support to Ukraine on the big deal about the budget in order to avoid the shutdown. That was certainly not expected, and it's certainly not a good news. But I hope it's not going to be a definite position of the U.S. Ukraine needs the support of the European Union, which is sure they will have it, and we will increase it, but also the support of the US. My hope, the hope of the Ukrainians, and I think that everybody that doesn't want Putin winning this war, is to look for the ways for the US to retake this issue and continue supporting Ukraine.
But can Europe fill the gap left by the US?
Europe what?
Can Europe fill the gap left by the US?
Well, certainly Europe cannot replace the US. Europe is increasing its support. In the table there are proposals for 50 billion euros for the civilian and economic side and 20 billion for the military side. And we did that before waiting for the US to take decisions. Certainly we do more, but the US is something imprescindible for the support of Ukraine.
How does the Nagorno-Karabakh affect the agenda of European Union? There's question marks about...
uns mal dann den formellen, vielleicht formelleren Treffen auch, mal Schritte mal zu machen, wo auch mal sehen, wo die Schweiz etwas helfen kann.
Letztes Mal haben Sie Präsident Zelensky getroffen. Wie wichtig ist das Thema Ukraine aus Ihrer Sicht?
Ja, es ist zentral. Es bleibt absolut zentral, nicht nur für die Schweiz, für den ganzen Kontinent, aber Sie haben vielleicht es gesehen, letzte Woche hat die Schweiz auch noch einen Schritt gemacht mit 100 Millionen für die Entminung. Das ist auch ein wichtiger Schritt und es zeigt einmal mehr, dass wir sehr solidarisch solidarisch sind mit Ukraine. Aber jetzt muss man auch sehen, es dauert diesen Krieg seit mehr als 18 Monate und es ist wirklich außerordentlich wichtig, dass man auch für die nächsten Monate mal sieht, wie es mal sich weiterentwickelt. Daher auch alle meine Kontakte auch auf anderen Kontinenten, in Afrika, in Südamerika, weil es darf nicht sein, dass es wird als kontinentale Angelegenheit gesehen. Nein, es ist eine Weltangelegenheit, es betrifft wirklich alle.
Frage zu Bergkarabach. Was ist die Haltung der Schweiz und wieso verurteilen wir das nicht so wie das andere Länder?
Ja, wissen Sie, die Haltung der Schweiz ist da für eine Zeit lang. Da sind wir immer wieder in Kontakt gewesen mit unterschiedlichen Parteien. Sie kennen auch die Rolle der Schweiz, die Möglichkeiten, die wir haben können, auch etwas anzubieten in Situationen von Konflikte. Und ich glaube, heute wird es auch ein interessanter Moment sein, mal informell ein bisschen zu hören, auch wie andere reagieren dazu.
Ein Thema ist auch der Konflikt zwischen Kosovo und Serbien. Wie sehen Sie die aktuelle Situation und was kann die Schweiz da zur Lösung beitragen?
Ja, wissen Sie, ich habe Präsident Vučić in New York kurz getroffen. Ich habe Premierminister Kurti in Bern gesehen. Es ist klar für uns, für die Schweiz ist von einer zentralen Angelegenheit, eine friedliche und stabile Situation in der Balkan zu haben. Es ist wirklich unser Interesse auch direkt. Wir haben eine sehr starke auch, Verflechtung zwischen Bevölkerungen. Es gibt auch sehr viele Kontakte und ich glaube, die Signale sind gesetzt. Es war schon das letzte Mal in Chisinau ein zentraler Punkt, diese Diskussion damals. Und ich glaube, die Schweiz ist wirklich da, um zu helfen, wirklich eine stabile Situation zu haben.
Hat die Schweiz eine Rolle eingenommen?
Ja, ich habe einfach in diese Kontakte immer wieder mal betont, was für uns wichtig ist, diese stabile Situation, dass es da wirklich auch gesprochen miteinander, es passiert auch und dass man versucht, auch eine Situation, eine Lösung zu finden, vor allem im Nordkosovo, für eine gute Integration von alle, eine gute Situation für alle die Leute, die auf dem Terrain einfach leben. Aber muss man auch sehen, die ganze Region hat und kennt eine schwierige Situation seit langem, das ist nichts Neues, aber wir müssen auch dabei sein, wir sind auch dabei, um diese Lösungen und stabile Situation zu unterstützen.
Es gibt viele europäische Länder, die bei Serbien sind und auch dort Grenzen fordern.
Ja, es liegt nicht an mir, jetzt mal Punkte zu verteilen und zu sagen, wer wie zu denken hat. Ich glaube, wir müssen das reservieren und auch mal zusammen diskutieren mit den direkten Betroffenen und nicht hier. Ich danke für das Verständnis dafür. Aber wir müssen auch einfach mal Schritte machen. Es gibt die Europäische Union, die sich auch sehr stark mal engagiert hat. Das war auch ein Thema in Chisinau. Ich freue mich auch sehr, heute zu sehen, was es wird geben als Diskussion. Ich habe einige bilaterale Gespräche, die vorbereitet sind. Die Liste habe ich nicht im Kopf. Es gibt sehr viele, aber vor allem die CPE, diese Treffen hier, die sind so wichtig für die informellen Treffen. Und ich bin sicher, ich werde mit beinahe allen mal in Kontakt treten können. Ich kenne auch allen und diese Momente helfen sehr, diese auch menschliche Kontakte zu pflegen.
Nächstes Jahr findet der Gipfel in Großbritannien statt. Sie haben jetzt gesagt, mehrmals, dass diese Veranstaltung wichtig ist. Wird der Gipfel in der Schweiz stattfinden?
Ja, das werden wir noch sehen. Es wäre sicher eine gute Gelegenheit, mal für die Schweiz es zu organisieren. Aber wann ist für mich zu früh zu sagen. Danke. Schönen Tag. Thank you.
Third EPC today that is starting after Prague and Chisinau. And actually it is the third time that at the core of our discussion is our support for Ukraine. And this symbolizes also the strong support that the European political community has for Ukraine. I very much welcome that President Zelensky is going to join us here. On Monday, the 27 ministers for foreign affairs and the HRVP were in Kiev to support Ukraine. So there's a strong message to Putin from Dublin to Chisinau that we do not tolerate aggression against a sovereign state. One of the topics here will also be energy. And indeed, we had a massive energy crisis due to the blackmail of Russia with fossil fuels. We've mastered this crisis. The prices have gone down drastically. And most importantly, our storages are filled, and we have created a joint platform to buy gas together. This is a big success, and the success is seen can be seen because of the fact that not only the 27 member states have joined this platform for energy, but also other members of the European political community like Norway, Ukraine, Moldova, or Serbia. We have been able to get rid of the Russian dependency on fossil fuels. We have massively invested in renewables, and indeed last year, for the very first time, the European Union was able to produce more electricity from renewables, wind and sun, than from gas. And of course, Armenia will play a role today in the discussions too. I will meet the Prime Minister of Armenia in a bilateral here. We strongly support Armenia and support it in its humanitarian needs. We have already allocated 5.2 million euros. I will tell the Prime Minister today that I'm happy that we double this amount to 10.4 million euros and that we are providing 15 million euros of direct budget support under the country's annual program. And we will discuss what else we can do to support Armenia in this difficult situation.
President, on Armenia and Azerbaijan, you've talked about what you can do for Armenia, but is there any action that the European Union will take against Azerbaijan for a military operation that has triggered the exodus of 100,000 ethnic Armenians from the...
We have immediately, end of September, issued a very strong statement of condemnation of the military operation of Azerbaijan in Nagorno-Karabakh and called strongly on a resuming of dialogue and a peaceful solution. This is what we are working on, and important for us is to support Armenia. So we have been, it was very important that President Biden informed us at the beginning of this week what the support for Ukraine is concerned from the side of the United States. Here in the European Union, we're working on a package of 50 billion euros for Ukraine for the years 24 to 27. This is very important because Ukraine needs predictability and reliability in the direct budget support. As far as I oversee the situation in the United States, I'm very confident of support for Ukraine from the United States. What the United States is working on is the timing.
Are there any developments regarding Southern Gas Corridor and Turkey Gas Hub?
Buongiorno Presidente. Buongiorno Presidente. You're going to talk to the press? Yes? Okay. Benvenuto.
Presidente, può venire un secondo?
like more a team building.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Am I spokesperson? Walking?
We're going to start the report, right?
Yes, I'm afraid so. Thank you. Good morning. I think it is good that we meet today, that we have this format with the European political community, because so many issues are bigger than just the borders of the European Union. Important topics. I think it's good that we meet here with the
What about Serbia and Kosovo? That seems to escalate further.
Vi hanno chiesto il piano Mattei,
y luego para
dice que hay otros puntos, dice explicarle qué punto puede.
Hello, it's nice to see you in such a sunny environment. Today we have the European Political Community meeting again, so it's a good platform to talk to each other. It's very sad that some European countries are not coming. We heard that Erdogan is not coming and Azerbaijan is not participating because this is the platform where we all should talk to each other. So I'm participating in the panel or roundtable on multilateralism and security. Russia does not believe in multilateralism, so we have to do everything to prove that we are united and we talk to each other and we make multilateralism work. We had the UN General Assembly and the discussions how the UN should function and how the UN Charter should really function so that we would have peace in the world. So hopefully we have good discussions today.
Are you afraid that the U.S. support for Ukraine will be shrinking in the near future?
No, not directly. I mean, we have the discussions everywhere, and U.S. has committed their support to Ukraine, as other countries in Europe as well. And I think Russia wants us to be tired, and we shouldn't show them that we are, because we are not. We have to help Ukraine as long as it takes. We have to endure the war as they are enduring the war. And we have to do everything to help Ukraine. Yes, these are very worrying tendencies that we have in Europe, and therefore these platforms like today could be good places to talk to each other. But unfortunately, I don't think that today we're going to see any positive results. But talking to each other in Europe is definitely bringing the tensions down. I didn't hear your question. Europe actually is helping Ukraine a lot, and we have to do more. And everybody who has more in their stocks should give more. Russia is thinking that they will endure pain much longer, but we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't give them that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're going to discuss that tomorrow, and this is definitely a worrying tendency. I mean, when we talk about the multilateralism, how it should work, and how, you shouldn't take big processes into hostage. So what kind of tools are there, really, in order to listen to everybody, but not give them the veto rights in the way that you can block everything. But we'll see. We'll discuss this. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm very worried about this device. We do not understand that like 35 degrees in sugar is normal. It's something.
Of OEC since like you are chair of OEC this year, because in fact like OEC shows for they have a regress with participation of Russia and Belarus, and they not respect each other.
Well, we are chairing the OSCE organization in the most difficult year, as you are all aware. And our chairmanship is doing everything that the organization continues to be a valid and the most important security organization within Europe. We are aware, and you are aware, that there are challenges since inside the organization are as well in Russia and Belarus. And we are in constant communication in order to drive the processes towards a peaceful Europe. But in order to have a peaceful Europe, then the first thing what is needed is the stop of the war in Ukraine, and Ukraine to preserve its territorial integrity and to fulfill its goals of the people of Ukraine to have a democratic and sovereign country as they are. So we will continue until the end of our chairmanship to be a country which will take all the important opinions into consideration and to organize a successful summit by the end of the year.
Do you think it's on the ministerial meeting in December? Russian?
We are in preparations, and at this moment I cannot give you all the details, but the ministerial meeting is under preparation for December in Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia. Thank you. Pa najprвин, јас денес ја представувам Северна Македонија, ново исклучително важен составок на Европската политичка заедница. Тука се практично представници на сите земји од Европа, без Русија и Белорусија. Една од главните теми која што е од најголемо значење за нас е и проширувањето на Европската унија. Вие знаете дека после долго време на агендата на Европската унија е проширувањето. Ќе разговараме нормално и на теми кои што се однесуваат и на дигитализацијата и на воведувањето на вештачката интелигенција, се со цел да се подобрат услугите за граѓаните, и тоа ќе биде една од работните средби на кои што јас ќе учествувам заедно со премиерите на Италија, на Франција, на Обединетото кралство и на низа други, на представникот на Европскиот парламент, на Европската комисија. Исто така значено е што утре ќе биде одржан и неформален состанок на Европскиот совет, на кој што ќе се разговара токму на прашања кои што се значени за нас, а тоа е пред се мирот и безбедноста во Европа, поддршката на Украина, но и проширувањето на Европската унија. Како што најави председателот на Европскиот совет Шарл Мишел пред повеќе од еден месец, веќе во рамки на Европската унија се води дебата во однос на подготовката на Европската унија за прием на нови членки од една страна, и од друга страна процесите за пристапување кои што самите земји членки ги имаат со Европската унија. Ние мислам дека се наоѓаме во одлична позиција со оглед на тоа дека минатата година ги отпочнавме преговорите со Европската унија. Од друга страна, Европската унија има стратешки интерес и веќе отворен процес за свое прилагодување, кој што е паралелен процес во однос на тоа дека ќе треба да функционира во иднина со земји кои што имаат поголем број од сегашниот, што значи дека ќе постои динамика и на страната на земјите на кандидати за членство, пред се тука мислам на земјите од Западен Балкан, вклучително и на Северна Македонија, меѓутоа и динамика внатре во Европската унија во однос на прилагодување на функционирањето со повеќе земји членки. Веќе е јасно на сите дека Германија и Франција имаат изработено работен документ кој што се однесува на кои се тие стратешки промени кои што треба да се направат. Јас тоа не можам да го коментирам во моментот, бидејќи се работи за работен документ кој што не е финален, и затоа ќе оставам тие да го комуницираат, иако го имам видено, и сметам дека тоа што стои како предлог во самиот работен документ е позитивно за нашата држава и за земјите од регионот. Се надевам на успешни состаноци, ќе имам и билатерална средба со премиерот на Холандија, со премиерот на Ирска и со подпредседателот на Европската комисија. Ви благодарам и ви посакувам и на вас успешен работен ден.
Good morning, everyone. This is again an important one. This is the third edition of this European political community, and it shows the relevance of the meeting because this is an occasion to exchange views, also in an informal way. And there are many challenges for the European continent. Certainly, the consequences of the war launched by Russia against Ukraine, important to reaffirm our solidarity with the Ukrainians. The energy sector is extremely important. That's why, on the EU side, we have decided to double our efforts for the renewable energy. We have decided to triple the efforts for the energy efficiency, and we are also working very hard, and such a platform can help to reduce the conflicts, to prevent the conflicts when possible, to reduce the conflicts and to address the difficulties we face. I am confident that again this meeting under the Spanish presidency will be the occasion to bring the European continent closer to common goals, stability, prosperity, security. It should be our common priorities. Cette réunion est une réunion importante parce que ça va être l'occasion pour beaucoup de leaders de se rencontrer, de discuter et de progresser ensemble sur des sujets qui concernent l'intérêt commun pour l'avenir du continent européen, les questions d'énergie, les questions liées à la connectivité et puis certainement les conséquences de la guerre de la Russie contre l'Ukraine seront à l'ordre du jour. Et puis je pense que cette réunion est aussi l'occasion de multiples rencontres informelles pour tenter de prévenir un certain nombre de conflits, un certain nombre de tensions, de tenter d'apporter un certain nombre d'apaisements et de solutions. Thank you. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask whether you're thinking the US will reduce its support to Ukraine.
We had a few days ago a very important phone call with the President, Joe Biden, a very important moment because he reassured us and we feel his personal leadership, his personal commitment to make sure that the United States will support Ukraine in the long run, will help Ukraine in the long run, and we work very closely together. And you know that on the EU side we have already mobilized 82 billion euros for Ukraine, to assist Ukraine, and you know that we are working hard to decide an additional package. There is a proposal on the table with 50 billion euros for the Ukraine facility and with 20 billion euros for the European peace facility for more military equipment for Ukraine. This is very tangible, very concrete, and it's our duty to support Ukraine.
What about talks with Azerbaijan? Where are you at with that?
First point, we are shocked by this decision taken by Azerbaijan to use the military force. Is one first element. Second point, I had a phone call 2 days ago with the president of Azerbaijan, and he made very clear that they do not have territorial claim on Armenia. It should be said in a very vocal way, I think, to make sure that there is the mutual recognition for the territorial integrity. It's my second point. And point three, we will help Armenia to face the consequences of this military operation started by Azerbaijan. There are a lot of refugees in Armenia, and we need to support with humanitarian assistance on the one hand, but we also need to take into account the wish in Armenia to strengthen the ties between Armenia and the European Union, and I am in favor of this rapprochement between Armenia and the European Union. And I want to be clear, we made a promise a few years ago to Armenia in terms of investment package with more than 2 billion euros promised to Armenia. We must deliver. We cannot procrastinate. We must deliver. Armenia needs our support.
But neither Turkey nor Azerbaijan are here.
Sorry?
Neither Turkey nor Azerbaijan are here. I mean, European diplomacy is working.
This is extremely important not to give up, never to give up. And I believe that the diplomatical efforts are needed even when there are difficulties, even when there are setbacks. And you know that we'll have the occasion today to meet together with President Macron, with President Scholz and with Prime Minister Pashinyan. I take note, there is a decision taken by President Aliyev not to attend the meeting. I take note, but we do not give up, and we are absolutely convinced that this is our interest within the EU to have a stable and prosperous Caucasus. And you know, before we start at the EU level the mediation, we were not very active and present in that region. With this EU mediation effort, it means that we are defending our interests. We are promoting our values in that region. It's what we need to do. The European Union is a fundamental political project. We need to protect and to defend the interests of our citizens and the interests of our citizens. This is very clear. This is a stable and prosperous neighborhood, including in the South Caucasus.
President, are you disappointed that President Aliyev is not here?
This is his decision, and we have tried to work to prepare a meeting with President Aliyev and with Prime Minister Pashinyan. We have proposed some ideas to make sure that we can bring more stability, more serenity, that we can address the humanitarian consequences of the situation. This is his decision, and I do not intend to comment publicly his decision. I will have the occasion to tell to him directly what is my feeling about the decision not to come.
Mr. President, why Europe stayed silent for almost 30 years and 1 million of displaced Azerbaijan people from Karabakh and Armenia, and is actively speaking now on behalf of Armenia? Do you think Europe can be a neutral mediator after that?
answer number one, yes, the EU is a neutral mediator because the EU has no hidden agenda. Our agenda is very clear. This is prosperity, stability, security and predictability, point one. And point two, we made a lot of progress in the past with the mediation. When we started the mediation about 3 years ago, we made some concrete and tangible result with the exchange of prisoners, with some progress in terms of exchange of mining maps, in terms of discussions that have started for the border delimitation with the launch of 2 border commissions that are supposed to work together. We made progress on the connectivity by discussing the details of the modalities and the principles of sovereignty and jurisdiction and reciprocity that should be guaranteed in terms of efforts for improving the connectivity in the region. But we are very sincere, we are very honest, we understand that more diplomatic efforts are needed. This is what we will do today with the Prince of Armenia. Thank you, just a pleasure to meet you this morning. Thank you. Bye.
Presidente.
What do you expect?
British president.
What do you think you have to tell?
I saw the...
Good morning. You want to request?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
How do you get out of the current crisis? Tell us.
We'll get it out.
Do you have any talks today with your...
Good morning, Prime Minister. How are you? You want to talk to me first? Somebody talking to you or... You want to come to me? Someone from your team? You want something from your team? Okay, good. Welcome. Gracias.
¿Quién es Oscar? ¿Quién es?
Suecia.
Presidente, ¿no? Presidente. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
In fact, could it involve Ireland taking a quota of refugees from either some other countries?
Yeah, we don't really have clarity on it at the moment. So some progress was made at the Justice Ministers meeting there the other day, but I haven't had a chance to study what's been agreed. I think, though, from Ireland's point of view, it wouldn't really be so much about taking a quota of refugees. You know, we've accepted a huge number of people in the last year or two, maybe 100,000 people from Ukraine and other parts of the world. So I think we're in a different place as a country now, really struggling to accommodate the numbers that we have. But certainly what it is about is a number of things, but one of those is more cooperation at European level and also securing the outer borders of the European Union so that we can put more control on irregular entries into the continent, which is important for us too.
So if we don't take a voluntary quota, that would be paying into a fund, is that right?
Yeah, that's an option. So you can have the option of accepting refugees who are in other parts of the European Union. so they're already in a safe place, or you can make a financial contribution. But realistically, where we are in Ireland at the moment is having accepted over 100,000 people from Ukraine and other parts of the world in the past 2 years. I don't think we're really in a position to accept more voluntary transfers, not until we get on top of the accommodation situation. I think people will understand that. That's not to say that we'll turn away people who come to Ireland. Of course we won't do that. But volunteering to take more people is a different thing entirely.
This week, some figures emerged on what it would cost to let Ukraine into the European Union, including a calculation that under current rules it would mean a 20% cut to camp farming aid. Does this put a dampener at all on Ireland's support for Ukraine's membership?
I'm a strong supporter of Ukrainian membership of the European Union, and not just Ukraine, also the Western Balkans and Moldova. And if you look at things in the round, if you take the broader view, the longer term view, enlargement is always good for Europe. It helps to provide us with security, helps to embed democracy and human rights, and also helps the European economy to grow in the round. So I think it's really important that when we look at these questions, we don't see them just as a financial calculation. If Ukraine, Moldova, the Western Balkans join the European Union, they'll become wealthier in due course, just like Ireland. They may yet become contributors to the budget. Certainly when it comes to CAP reform, a further enlargement will of course trigger a lot of reforms. What might be necessary is countries making larger contributions so that we can protect the budget for CAP, but that's all way off. I'd be very keen to see Ukraine begin talks on membership this December. That decision isn't made yet, but I hope we can make that decision. But the time from beginning talks to actually becoming a member, it often takes many years, more than 10 or 15 years. So by then the budget and the CAP will be in a very different place, I think. So I really would hope that we don't create those kind of fears.
Just on roads, Transport Minister in Ryan last year by Transport Minister for Ireland, it was proper investment in roads. You see 77 deaths over the next 5 years. What does the CEO deaths on our roads and what is your response?
Well, we have a lot of investment in roads. Hundreds of millions of euros go into maintenance and restoration of our local, regional, national roads every year. In addition to that, we sign off on new projects. Only this month, nearly €500 million being invested in road upgrades in the northwest for the N5. It's always the case that any government agency will always say they need more money, and if we don't give them more money, there will be negative consequences. People make their case for more money, and I wouldn't expect anything different. That's the normal course of budgetary negotiations. But I do support more funding for roads, I should be clear on that. But also we need to make sure there's adequate funding for public transport. Some really big, important public transport's about to come through planning, like Bus Connects in Dublin, like Cork Metropolitan Rail, and we have a commitment in the programme for government to make sure that funding for public transport outweighs investment in roads by 2 to 1, and that makes sense to me as well. Yeah, well, look forward to meeting him. It's our second bilateral, although we have spoken on by phone a number of times. Really, a couple of things on the agenda. We'll be interested to hear from him how he feels the discussions between the UK government and the DUP are going with respect to restoring the institutions in Northern Ireland. Really important for both of us. And of course, we'll want to discuss the Legacy Act and reaffirming our position on that. And I suppose in a more positive space, we're going to talk about UEFA 2028. Really delighted that UK and Ireland will be hosting that tournament. Want to talk to him about our willingness to make a funding contribution to Casement Park in Belfast, one of the 2 stadiums in Ireland that will be used, the other being the Aviva. And also we're going to talk about the common travel area, because again, that's very important for us, that the common travel area between Britain and Ireland functions, but also that we secure the outer border around Ireland and Britain as well.
Are you concerned about some of the language from the Tory party?
Yeah, I am, to be honest. The Britain and the United Kingdom that I love and admire is the country of the Magna Carta, the country that founded parliamentary democracy, and the country that helped to write the European Convention on Human Rights. And it does bother me to see the United Kingdom disengaging from the world, whether it's reducing its budget for international aid, whether it's leaving the European Union, and now even talking about withdrawing from the European Convention on Human Rights. That's not the Britain I know.
is consistent in this matter?
We'll certainly discuss the issue of the UK legacy legislation. That's something the Irish government is very opposed to, and so are the victims' groups, and so are the 5 main parties in Northern Ireland. All agree this isn't the right approach, and we believe it is potentially in contravention of the European Convention on Human Rights, and certainly I'll be saying that to the Prime Minister.
Just very quickly on the budget, obviously, I think finance of the UK, and people support, people expect additional support for their energy bills in the form of energy credits.
So the detail of that hasn't been worked out, but look, what I can say is that people will get help with their electricity bills over the course of the winter. The detail of that has to be worked out. Electricity prices have fallen, but they're still substantially higher than they would have been 2 winters ago, and we understand that as a government, and we have the money to help people with those bills, and we will, but the exact detail is yet to be signed off on.
Well, on the acknowledgement, we've heard some concerns from Ireland about possible reforms that are coming. Enthusiasm from Ukraine and Ireland has dampened.
No, the European Union that we have now is designed for, maybe 27, 28 members. The European Union of the future, I believe, is going to have more than 30 members, not just Ukraine, but also Moldova and countries of the Western Balkans. They're European countries. We want to see them within the European fold, within the European family. And of course, that's going to require reforms to the budget, to some of the policies, to the way the institutions work. We've done that before. We did that when the countries of Central and Eastern Europe joined, and it had to be done before when Ireland joined. So, these are the things we just have to deal with to make sure that we get them right. But we've plenty of time. This enlargement is some time away yet. But we have to decide that. We're waiting on detailed legal advice from the Attorney General. We'll have that the next couple of weeks, and at that point I'll sit down with Tánaiste Minister Ryan and other colleagues, and we'll recommend a decision to government. Thank you.
In danes se že kaže v resnici pomembnost teh srečanj, ker imamo prve zaplete. Če je bilo na prvem srečanju kot na medenih mesecih, se danes prvič soočamo situacijo, ko lahko vidimo, kako pomemben je dialog. Kdaj se tega zavemo? Ko se nekdo umakne. In ravno umik, zelo obžalujem umik tako Turčije kot Azerbejdžana iz današnjega srečanja, ker mislim, da bi ravno tu morali nasloviti te izzive in to na čim širšem možnem nivoju. Tako da upam, da bo to ena dobra lekcija za naslednji 4. srečanje in da takrat bomo vsi in se bomo o širših problemih evropskega kontinenta, ne samo Evropske unije, pogovarjali res v iskrenem in pa odprtem duhu.
Govorili ste o tem napetostih v Gorskem Karabahu, danes se boste srečali oziroma govorili z armenskim premierjem. Pa me zanima, kako bo Slovenija, tudi v bistvu kot bodoča članica, zdaj že opazovalka v varnostnem svetu, mogoče posredovala oziroma prispevala k rešitvi teh napetosti oziroma.
Torej prvič prisegamo na dialog in dejansko morajo biti vse vpletene strani enakopravno zastopane v dialogu. Mislim, da je vključitev Turčije v tem primeru pomembna v ta dialog o rešitvi tega vprašanja. Drugič pa na prvem mestu želimo zagotoviti varnost ljudi in to je prva stvar, ki bi si jo morali prizadevati, šele potem pridejo politične rešitve. Vrstni red bi moral biti znan in verjamem, da bomo tudi ne samo kasneje v varnostnem svetu, ampak tudi danes zastopali to stališče.
Še glede Kosova, Srbije je tudi pomemben dialog. Kako bo tukaj Slovenija? Kje vidite rešitev po teh zadnjih napetostih? V bistvu se gre kar iz krize v krizo.
Rešitev je vedno enaka, ostaja ponovitev volitev, poziv vsem, tudi srbski manjšini, da na volitvah sodeluje in da se izvoli legitimne oblasti v teh 4 občinah, potem pa da se išče rešitev za avtonomijo. Vendar najprej ponovitev volitev. Vse to, kar se je dogajalo v zadnjih tednih, je pa sojenja vredno in prav je, da tudi mednarodna skupnost obsodi posameznike, ki so v resnici spodbujali do tega, da pride do eskalacije, v tem primeru tudi oboroženih spopadov. In tudi Slovenija ostro obsoja posameznike, ki so pri tem sodelovali oziroma vodili te procese.
Pa podpira tudi sankcije proti Srbiji oziroma
o tem še nismo razpravljali, bomo videli, kakšna bo danes debata. Mislim, da moramo biti pri tem previdni, konsistentni in ustrajni. Dajmo začeti pri posameznikih, dokler se ne razčisti, dajmo pomiriti, se pravi, deeskalirati situacijo in iskati trajno rešitev. Ne verjamem, da sankcije same po sebi lahko pripeljejo k trajni rešitvi. Če bo potrebno in če bo za to obstajalo enotno stališče, se bo Slovenija pridružila. Ni pa nujno, da je to prvi in edini korak.
Gospod premijer, še kratek skok na domač politični parket. Zakaj ste se odločili za rekonstrukcijo vlade zdaj in pa kaj sta recimo glavna očitka ministroma?
To ni rekonstrukcija vlade, gre za dva ministra, ki sta prišla na moj predlog iz Gibanja Svobode. Žal sem ugotovil v zadnjih tednih, da ne uživate več mojega zaupanja, razlogi so različni. Jaz sem oba ministra s tem seznanil in zdaj je predlog za razrešitev oziroma minister Brežan je odstopil, ministrico Šinkovo bomo pa razreševali v parlamentu. Pri ministrici dogajanje v zvezi z uvozom nevarnih živil in predvsem neobveščanjem javnosti in zagovarjanjem stališča, da javnost ni potreba, da ve, da uvažamo nevarna živila. Jaz se s tem ne morem strinjati, mislim, da je tle ogrožanje zdravja na prvem mestu in šele potem ščitenje neke inštitucije. Zato je prav, da ministrica sprejme ne samo subjektivno, ampak objektivno odgovornost v tem primeru. Pri ministru Brežanu bi si pa želel, da bi po poplavah nekoliko boljše organiziral delovanje svojega ministrstva na tem delu, ki se tiče izplačila sredstev občinam. Žal je na tem področju tako drugače postalo ravno njegovo ministrstvo ozko grlo. To ne pomeni, da sanacija ne teče. Sanacija teče nemoteno, lahko bi pa prišlo zdaj do finančnih zamaškov in moramo biti pri tem bolj učinkoviti.
Kako komentirate odločitev ministrice, kmetijske ministrice, da ne bo odstopila, ampak da bo počakala na razrešitev v parlamentu?
Vsak ima pravico, da se odloča. Meni je včasih nenavadno, kako novinci v politiki kar naenkrat postanejo sami sebi namen, ampak bo parlament o tem kaj več povedal.
Pa še glede ministrice Ajanović-Hojnik, ste že še podpirate in pa ali ste odbili vsa pojasnila glede očitkov, ki so v javnosti?
Da, ministrica ima še vedno mojo podporo, verjamem pa tudi, da bo tako pristojnim inštitucijam kot javnosti znala ustrezno pojasniti vse to, kar se ji očita. Jaz si želim, da bi bili ti očitki čim hitreje pojasneni in potem tudi vsi dvomi ovrženi, zato da ker ima ministrica pred sabo res ogromno nalogo in bi si želel, da se ta naloga čim prej izpolni.
Ker ravno omenjate to nalogo, bo še naprej glavno pogajalka sindikata?
Ostaja, je pa res, da je zadnje čase precej zasedena in zato bo mogoče v nekaterih fazah tudi namesto nje vskočil kakšen namestnik ali namestnica, ampak pogajanja se ne ustavljajo, ne glede na trenutne aktivnosti ministrice.
Mogoče še vprašanje glede Ukrajine, sploh v luči dogajanja v ZDA, kjer je pač ta 6 milijardni paket pomoči izpadel iz zakona o financiranju, pa me zanima, vojna traja dlje, kot smo vsi pričakovali. A čutite oziroma se bojite, da bi ta pripravljenosti pomagati Ukrajini ali z orožjem ali finančno pač splahnela v državah zaveznicah?
Dejstvo, da dlje, ko bo trajal spopad oziroma vojna, večja bo ta, manjša bo pripravljenost, to je dejstvo, ki ga poznamo od začetka. To ni nekaj novega, zato se tudi tako čaka, kakšen bo razplet pred zimo in čas se izteka. O tem govorimo že ves čas. Dejstvo je, da bomo o Ukrajini govorili jutri na nivoju Evropske unije prav glede finančnega paketa, ki naj bi se potem potrjeval decembra in tukaj bo treba biti enoten. Slovenija bo podpirala vse enotne ukrepe kot do sedaj. Se pa kaže pri nekaterih članicah že, bom rekel, soliranje, zagovarjanje lastnih interesov. Jaz upam, da bo prevladal vseeno interes skupnosti, je pa težko prejudicirati, kaj se bo ukazalo.
Ali vidite, še neposredno pri dogajanju v Ameriki?
V tem trenutku še ne, v prihodnem letu pa zagotovo. Če se bo pa pokazalo okno, časovno okno, v katerem bo možno iskati ali premirje, še bolj pa trajen mir, je pa Slovenija že na začetku podprla mirovno formulo predsednika Zelenskega in tudi kot članica Varnostnega sveta bomo zagovarjali, da je treba dati miru priložnost, kadar se le da, vedno in pred orožjem. Tako da mogoče bo pa tudi dogajanje v Združenih državah pripomoglo k temu, da se bo pogovorom za mir dalo več priložnosti.
Bo Slovenija postrajala v tem podpori, da bo med tistimi, ki bodo zašle na svoje, recimo, egoistične poti.
Slovenija nikoli ni bila egoistična država v zunanji politiki in tudi tokrat ne razmišljamo o tem, ravno obratno. Kot majhna država se zavedamo, kako pomembna je enotnost mednarodne skupnosti, če želimo, da vsi skupaj živimo v blaginji in miru. In zato bomo to podpirali do konca. Hvala lepa.
Carried out by the orders of the leadership of Serbia.
Do you expect any message from the Spanish government?
I hope so. Spain is a country that is contributing to peace and stability in the entire European continent. I do hope that they will understand that supporting an aggressor, for which there is clear evidence from the 24th of September, is not going to help peace and stability. So I do hope that Spain will join other like-minded countries in Europe to adopt measures towards Serbia for this horrendous act that it has committed, not just against Kosovo, but against peace and stability and security in the entire European continent.
Are you going to have any meeting alone with the president, with the Spanish president?
We don't have confirmed meetings alone, but I'm sure that I will have the opportunity because in this setting, most of the discussions are taking place while we are all in the same room. So I do hope that we will have that opportunity to discuss this. There's no reason to meet before sanctions are adopted towards Vučić. Sanctions first, and then we can talk about the rest. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, dile que conocen. María.